I think that, as Indians and just culturally, we've always looked at mummy papa to sort of help us with this. But everything else, we're very open-minded and liberal. And we're like, oh, I know what I want to do in my life. But when it comes to choosing a partner, everyone seems to turn around and look at their parents because apparently they know best.
So, welcome to the Real Voice podcast.
Thank you.
And today, speaking to my longtime friend and colleague Nivedita Rawal, Thappa. Hyphenated. We should talk about surnames after marriage. I feel like that would be a fun topic
It's a
as well.
hectic situation.
Yeah. Now, let me introduce you.
Yes.
You are a designer for menswear, a stylist, and a matchmaker. And that's where we got together. And matchmaking has become quite the topic since the Netflix show, and everyone seems to be really intrigued by this space, even though it is something that we have done traditionally
For the longest.
time. And I think that would be a great question to start off. Like, we've taken this traditional concept and we are actually able to attract people with a more modern mindset.
Yeah.
And how does that work in the business, in your work? Like, tell me about that.
Yeah. I think that, as Indians and just culturally, we've always looked at mummy papa to sort of help us with this. But everything else, we're very open-minded and liberal. And we're like, oh, I know what I want to do in my life. But when it comes to choosing a partner, everyone seems to turn around and look at their parents because apparently they know best. I think that the new modern twist to this is, as much as we also know what we want to do with our lives, we've started to take this decision into our hands, but want to do it a little more our way. So I guess the kind of matchmaking that I've been doing for the past couple of years has just been very, these are the kind of filters I want to apply. I don't want my parents to get involved. I don't want hand-holding from their end. And having said that, when we do interview, say, new members or new clients, they'll be like, hey, I want someone independent, I want someone liberal, I want someone educated. And then they'll be like, oh, but you know what? I don't think she should be so-and-so because my parents may just not be okay with that, right? So there's always that lingering thought as an Indian. And most of the Indians that live abroad, I've noticed that a lot. Indians in India will actually be like, I don't care what my parents think. I know what I've been doing all this while. You help me. So they sort of trust and put everything on the table, and they're like, let me meet people. I want to see where this goes. They tend to say things like, I'll learn a lot more from this experience as well. But the Indians living abroad are like, oh, we want someone closer to home, someone who will amalgamate with the family.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're still going to be living alone. Minus mom and dad. So where is that going to take you? So I think it's a good balance between the two. With this field, in this industry, if we feel we meet all kinds of people, we'll sort of also dive right into that at some point. But yeah, it's different now, and I feel like it's also sort of coming into a path with the next generation. I'm sure the one after mine will be like, AI will do everything. They don't need you anymore.
We're going to talk about that as well, actually, because there's some really interesting things happening in the AI space. But it's not, when people come to a matchmaker, it's not like, hey, here's my checklist, and you fill it.
Yeah,
it's a conversation.
Yes,
and it's also a lot of reality checks.
Yeah,
and for
us and the member, right? Because what does happen is, I think if you've had dating history, for example, you sort of think you know what you want. But if you did, one of those multiple relationships would have worked out, right?
Yeah.
When they do come to us, some of them come with a laundry list and want to apply filters like, hey, nothing below 5'10" works.
I was just going to say the height thing.
Yeah.
And then you're like, hey, how tall are you?
Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm a 4'11". okay then. So he's gonna be asking you how the weather is down there, and you're okay
Yeah.
with that. But they have some really bizarre deal breakers,
Yeah.
which are deal breakers, right? It's not a conversation that they wanna have. They be like, "Hey, the color of your skin." Okay, I'll give you an example. I recently sort of interacted with someone, and of course, he's a member of the matchmaking service that I work for. 44, divorced dad.
Yeah.
Okay, has a 10-year-old. I'd say he's fit, looks decent, whatever, is well-to-do, lives in Bombay. We set him up on a date with a really cool chick. Or at least I thought she was really cool, right?
Yeah.
And this is obviously after the preliminary conversation that we have with them and sort of get to know them better.
Yeah.
And while you're speaking to a client, you sort of nitpick not just on an application, but to try to dive a little bit into who you actually think they are, right? As a matchmaker, I also tell them, I'm like, I'm your friend.
Yeah.
Don't lie to your doctor, lawyer, or matchmaker. So just give it away, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, really chill during the interview, and then comes back to me after this date and goes like, I don't care. She needs to be hot. H-O-D, hot.
Shut up.
I died.
And this is a man with a
kid.
With a kid.
Wants to meet women without children.
I think that just goes to show that maturity is not about age or even life experience. It's something that you have to really work for.
Yeah.
Especially in relationships.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact is that, these people are actually trusting you with their life partner, right? But something that they couldn't do in, say, okay, when they were 20, they started to look, they're 40 now. In 20 odd years, you're giving me 4 months or 8 months to find your life partner and then giving me shit about it being, you're really trash at your job. And I'm like, so for 20 years, you didn't find anybody, but overnight I have to do this, wow this magic wand and do this.
It's tough, but the minute you take a step back, you realize that this is also one of the, I don't want to say pros and cons, but maybe it could be seen as one of the cons of commodifying finding a partner.
Correct.
Like that process.
Correct.
I think maybe traditional matchmakers and marriage brokers have it a little easy because they keep their criteria to just the logistics. Where do you live? Where did you study? Who is your family? And because we go deeper, we just get messier.
Yeah.
Like it's just a function of it.
And you also sort of start to put yourself in their shoes, right?
Yeah.
When you're so vested in something like that, and this happens with people who sort of also open their heart out to you, and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
I really want to help her, or really want to help him. Like, what can I do, right? And then you tend to get really attached and start to divert from the matchmaking aspect and move into I don't want to leave this person by themselves. Like, like someone once told me, it's really lonely to be by myself in this apartment. I'm working Monday to Friday. It's a hybrid work setup. I meet nobody. It's like me, my groceries, and my laptop. And if I have time on a Saturday, I'll probably meet a friend for a drink. And she's like, I don't know what else to do. Where do I organically meet people? Or like, I mean, and the apps work for people. Some of the apps don't work for people. It's different, right? For different people. It's also a generational thing, I feel. But when you hear these kind of stories, you sort of tend to put yourself in their shoes and go like, yikes, I don't know how. I mean, for me, for example, I've been married for 6 years. I've never been single for that long.
Never been
I've never been.
Yeah, you're chronic serial dater. And now you're married.
Yeah.
You got married when you were 26.
Yes, I got married when I was 20.
Hypothetically, if you were single today, and how old are you?
I am 32 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were single today, would matchmaking be something that you thought you would like try out and test out personally?
Well, if it was like a gym membership, I don't know.
Like price wise?
Yeah.
It was priced like a gym membership?
Yeah.
Which gym though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also.
Yeah.
No, I don't see myself in that situation. I feel like I am the kind of person who would keep putting herself out there repeatedly, and I think the fear of rejection just doesn't exist, right? When you're so already out there with the situation, you're like, hey, I'm meeting people. I'm very social. I have a huge friend circle. So I think in my head I would be like, I got game. I can organically do this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to, go through another route. But who's to say, right?
No, that's a perfectly valid, I think, outlook.
Yeah.
Because you definitely are very social.
Yeah.
And you do enjoy and have the energy to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But, just to play devil's advocate, right? Like, it's not like only people who are introverted go to matchmakers. Like, we've met some people who are very out there.
Yeah.
And I think then the problem becomes like, oh, how are you putting yourself out there?
Yeah.
And, what are you looking for? And how are you, like, I think a lot of pickup artists, I think, have zoned in on this very specific space of what are you putting out there and how are you recognizing what you're looking for?
Yeah.
And that's like a whole other game.
Yeah. I also feel that's quite a gray area, right?
100%.
To sort of, to put a finger on, there are people and there are people. And I feel like you said, like I'm super social.
Mm-hmm.
You also sort of tend to put up a face when you're in a social situation to be like, there could be a million things going on in your head.
Yeah.
But you're very chirpy and bubbly and you'll be like the life of the party, and then you go home and it all sort of dawns on you.
Yeah.
So,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, I think that, I don't know. I mean, if to track back to the question that you asked me, 6 years ago, no, I wouldn't turn to a matchmaking service. But having been in this space and worked in it now, maybe it should be a way of life for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not only just for the introverts. It's also for people who don't actually have the time to do this organically for themselves, and don't want to turn to, say, a chacha or a mama or a friend. You'd rather trust a third person. It's like going to a therapist.
Yeah.
You can, it's an unbiased opinion. You can lay your cards out and be like, this is what I think I want. Tell me where you can help me, right?
Yeah.
And we try to sort of fit ourselves into that jigsaw puzzle somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And it's also so much about the network and the database
Yeah.
that a matchmaker has. That's really the bread and butter, isn't it? Like,
Correct. It is.
it's almost like dating has become, in a way, networking.
It has. It has.
Because you're like, oh, this is my best self. And,
Yeah.
I'm here with my suit and tie for you, and I'm going to put my best self forward. And,
Yeah. And that sort of happens a lot with, I think the clients that are a little already up there in their lives and their careers. So like high profile clients tend not to go on too many dates because they're like, hey, maybe I know this person via I went for a summit, I met this, maybe she's seen me, and they're terrified.
It's awkward. Like, I'm pretty sure this happens, especially in a city like Bombay a lot, where you see a coworker or a boss or an employee on like Hinge or Bumble, and you're just mortified. You're just like, okay, I'm gonna throw my phone away now.
Yeah.
And so privacy is another.
Or like a married cousin.
Or like a married cousin. That happened.
Yeah. Oh my God. I am fortunately or unfortunately not had I've never used an app.
Right.
I wish I could have. Damn you, husband. But I know friends and they're like, oh my God, that's my cousin. He's married and he's only been married for 2 years. So exactly, that's where this whole AI thing comes into picture, right? How will an app filter out whether or not you're actually married? Or whether or not you're actually in a serious relationship.
Yeah.
So the human element of a matchmaker, I feel, is so important. Also, you're not going to bark at an app and be like, hey, that date was really bad. I hated the venue. I hate you. Like, who are you going to say this to, right? So we are sort of the sponge in this whole situation where I'm soaking in your emotion, your hate towards me, your hate towards the guy came 45 minutes late, wanted to split the bill, and then all I did was have a coffee while he had like 5 drinks. So, I think that when the human element comes into play here, and sort of also therapizing you and calming you down and be like, there's a temperament involved here.
Yeah.
Everyone has a day, how do I balance it with you? How do I calm you down? A matchmaker is not just somebody who sort of sets you up on a date with somebody else, but also after a date tends to soak in the crap you have to say to us.
Yeah.
We're at the rear end of the stick always. And also to sort of therapize and be like, give this an opportunity. Okay, if there was something, what was the positive that you learned from this, right? Maybe you learned something about yourself. Maybe this is a characteristic that stood out in him and you know that it doesn't sit well with you.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a takeaway.
Yeah.
But people tend not to look at that so much because they're just angry that I took out time for my busy day, especially in Bombay with the traffic and the beautiful pollution. They're like, I got ready, I did my hair, I went all the way to Bandra to meet this guy for coffee, and oh my God, I'm gonna kill you. So I think that there are a lot of elements that come into play with something like matchmaking. And there's a lot that as matchmakers we carry on our shoulders and sort of take these emotions back home as well.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, I mean, one sponge to another.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? What do you do when someone's, like struggling and you do feel you are personally and professionally vested in their success, in their, I don't want to say happiness, but kind of, because we are also putting forward like, hey, you know what, you want, like you have certain desires, and we're gonna help you get that. So it's a lot of emotional involvement. And how do you deal with that when shit hits the roof?
I cry, I laugh. I think I cry in the shower a lot. I'm so sure. For sure. I was like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, I'm fine. It's just water. I think that people don't realize I'm not just doing a 9 to 5 and going home, right? There are days where someone says something to me and it really, it hits hard. And I take that home.
Give me an example.
Okay, for example, I recently met somebody, she's 38, has 2 kids, super independent. She was married for a good 15 years. They lived in Dubai. They were doing really well. Her husband sort of hit rock bottom with his business, and they started to have issues in their relationship. They parted ways, and then she was like, and she kept saying something to me about, it's a 2-year itch in a marriage, and I knew in the first 2 years that I'm not going to do the remaining 5 to hit the 7-year itch. I literally started to just pull along. She was like, I was pregnant. I had my first child, and then I had my next child within the next 5 years. And she's like, I just kept going, even though I already knew 2 years into my marriage that, it's make or break, sort of. And then I sort of, start to take this back to things about my marriage, right?
Yeah.
I knew my husband, my then boyfriend, for 10 years. So we dated on and off. Super rocky ride, to say the least. We obviously dated other people in between that because I was like, I want to know what's out there, right? I'm not just going to settle and be like, what if 15 years down the road? So when I was 2 years into my marriage, I felt the 2-year itch, right? But there's also something that my father-in-law says to me quite a bit, and then I started to take these small things together, and he said something to me in Hindi, of course. He said, "Ek chup to 100 sukh," right? And at that point, I was like, "What the fuck? What are you telling me to shut up? Are you telling me to shut up?"
And no one puts baby in a corner.
Exactly, and I was like, okay. Started to sort of work with me a little bit. I started to think about it. And now when this lady said all of that, I feel like when we hit like a rough patch 2 years into our marriage, and I was like, if I don't shut up, if we're both at each other's necks, this is never going to work, right? Let him be an idiot. I'll give you that leeway. I married you for better or for worse. So you're at your worst today. I could be at my worst tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the benefit of doubt and be like, do dumb shit. I'll see you in a couple of months and we'll talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard to maybe be the quieter one. I think it's harder to be the more calm one, because naturally I'm not calm. I'm just not a calm person.
Because you're extending more emotional energy into being the calmer one.
Exactly.
You're like holding yourself back.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, you're not allowing the rest of the elements around you and the people around you getting affected by what's happening, right? So it's like stealth mode. And I feel like it's harder to be in that situation. So when she said that to me, I sort of thought about it. I went home that day and I was like poking him and I was like, do you remember? And he was like, hey, it was a long time ago, okay? I'm like, yeah, why are you bringing it up? Are we going to fight? Is that what you're trying to do? Why is it always happening at 9 p.m.? But yeah, I tend to take a lot of these emotions back home.
Yeah.
And then he needs to tell me to shut up, which I eventually do. But it's very hard to just sort of switch off from certain people.
Yeah.
And she's like, I kept my mouth shut and the marriage lasted 15 years, but it was just, we were like partners living together. It wasn't anything.
Yeah.
I had my kids. I had a job. I had a life to live. We were living in Dubai. It's not cheap. I have family back home who was also counting on me. So she was like, I just went with it. And I went with it. And I went with it. And I'm like, that's something I don't want to do ever in my life, right? I mean, so you actually take back a lot of learnings from these people as well. Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
Some really crazy incidents. But yeah, I think finding the positives or learnings from everything is really important. Especially when you're in such a personalized space.
Yeah. And I wonder if like our clients and members realize that the perspective, even though it feels like, one way, it is actually like it's a sharing of perspective always. Like I tell people, I said it's a two-way street. Look, I'm not working for you, I'm working with you. We're a team now. Of course it's come at a cost for you. Resources, right? You are also putting your heart out there, and I want to do, if you succeed, I succeed, right? I'll tell you this story. So there was a 28-year-old who came to us. She was really anxious. She's like, listen, I'm a tall girl. I don't know what to do. I don't sort of meet enough people. My parents have been looking, and I'm just sick of meeting the same typical kind of guy. It's like a stereotypical guy my parents keep introducing me to. So I said, okay, tell me, like, what are you open to? And she was like, I'm globally flexible. I can meet anybody anywhere. She was from Bombay. And she was like, I have a degree, so I can work outside as well. Amazing.
Okay.
Like, that sounds like a great client already.
Right?
Yeah.
And I got out of this interview and I went back to the cabin. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. Like, I know this is going to be bad. And it turned out not to be. Like, she took me by surprise. It was her first date. And it was a guy's last date with us. Okay. So I looked at one of my colleagues who you are acquainted with as well. And I was like, dude, what do we do? She's a tall girl, like an average Indian male. Midgets. What are you doing, guys? Like giving birth to midgets. All right. So she was like, there's this guy. He's been on our service for a little while. This is probably his last date. You want to try it? I'm like, tell me more. So we've exchanged his information and then I was like, let's do it, dude. I'm like, let's do it. I mean, I have nothing to lose, right? She's getting married. So it was a one-date wonder.
God.
Yeah. And
Oh
so
my goodness.
like literally she's like, I love him. I'm like, also that's great.
And he loves her too.
Yeah, they're engaged.
amazing.
Yes, they're engaged, getting married in November. I'm hoping to be invited to this wedding.
I think you should be.
Yeah.
You didn't.
I mean, yeah. And the emotion that came, I think we were crying, we were jumping in our cabin.
Oh my God.
I went and got an extra cup of tea. And I was like, let me treat myself. But yeah, like people don't realize that when you're that happy, I'm that happy, right? When you're upset, I'm stressed, I'm sweating, I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I also want you to feel your best and get the best out of this experience. But I don't think a lot of people take it well.
They don't. We have such an aversion to rejection.
Yes.
And especially in relationships, failures feel like 100 times more. I mean, it is personal.
Yeah.
But it's also not personal. Like the even the reason that we want the things we want has so much to do with how we were raised,
Yeah.
where we see value, what we think is important. And when you're meeting someone through a matchmaker, you are being viewed with a lens that is a lot more rigid.
Yeah.
There are automatically filters that you are, like you show up. And in fact, I remember we had this one client where it was we had to have a conversation about, hey, you can't sit down and have a checklist in your mind and ask questions like a little robot. You gotta like,
Is there heart in there? Tin man?
Are you even having fun on these dates? Yes, there is an agenda, but if you can't have a rapport with this person, if you can't connect, then your checklist kind of is a bit redundant, even if it gets filled like 10 on 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think ticking off a box is so important for certain people.
Yeah, too important.
Yeah. But what is the longevity in a relationship if the guy is 5'9" and not 5'10"? I want to know.
Yeah.
When they come with this thought process, I want to know why this filter. Recently, someone's come to us and said, I'm from an esteemed college in India. I'll give you a list of B schools in India and the Ivy Leagues abroad. And if the guy is from these 15, 20 universities, I'm fine to meet him. If not, don't bother.
Yeah.
And it's so aggressive, right? So I'm like, okay, the guy has a degree, he's making his money. When you're alone in a room together, please tell me, what exactly are you doing with this degree? You piping each other's asses with it? Or is that what gets you going? And is that what floats your boat? I really want to know. Or do you think, okay, so then she goes like, oh, my friend circle is like that. They're all really smart. And you could not have a degree and be really smart as well, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah.
College dropout here.
Yeah. I thought I'm putting a string there.
It's okay.
Yeah, but your experiences make you who you are, not you. I don't even remember what the hell I studied when I was in college. I was like, was I studying? Was I drinking? Was I hungover?
Yeah.
What exactly was happening then, right? Because firstly, you're so young, you're away from your parents, and then as Indians, you're like,
freedom, sweet freedom.
You're going crazy. At least at the first year, till you figure, oh shit, I'm failing a lot of exams here, and you get my shit together. And what exactly is that degree doing other than getting you, say, a job at a Deloitte or a McKinsey or whatever, which you could also lose very easily considering where the economy is going today, and we're gonna get hit with another recession. So, so what are you gonna do with the degree then? Like,
we do have a lot of these conversations where it's like, it's not enough to just say what you want. You have to tell us why you want what you want. I remember I had someone who came and said, I'm an actor and I only want to be introduced to actors as well. And I was like, okay, why though? What is it that you think is going to change? And then he said, I would really like to connect with somebody who's creative and who's passionate about what they do. And I was like, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can introduce you to someone who's creative and passionate. But the minute you put a box or like a job title on it, you're limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Creativity and passion, those are qualities you can find in anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to push back.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to stand your ground.
Yeah.
And you need to have real conversations with people who are looking at you as a very basic service.
Yeah. Actually, like, and when you say that, we sort of, when we work together, you left a lot of notes for us to read on a lot of special clients, if I may say.
Yeah.
And it helps, right? Because some of those clients have come back to us and been like, hey, where's Krsna at? Right?
And like, don't worry, you have no notes.
Don't even worry about it.
Like,
let me therapize you.
So Krsna thoughts are, and you just read off it. Notes, honestly, they're so important.
Yeah.
They're so important, especially.
Yeah. And so when I read some of these things and the things that you picked up on when you had these intense 1-hour conversations with them, and I remember you would come back to us and be like, like you would sound like I couldn't hear you. It was a decibel that maybe even dogs could hear, right? And I was like, okay, Krsna needs to just
replenish.
Yeah. Let her just be, because you've soaked in so much of what this guy has said or this girl has said, and you're trying to, not jump the gun by judging them, but also trying to find them what they really want or what you think that, as a matchmaker with your expertise would work for them.
Yeah. Because here's the thing that I've realized: when you are in the dating space or in the matrimony space, you get a lot of questions about like, oh, do women do this and are men like that? And people are trying to find patterns to come to conclusions. And sure, if you take a large enough sample size, you will find a pattern.
Yeah.
But you're like I said earlier, it's not a numbers game.
Yeah.
And so your pattern actually means nothing.
Yeah.
Like, there is no men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah.
Outlook, really, because everybody wants the same things. We just have different ways of approaching it. We all want connection.
Correct.
We all want love.
Yeah.
We want to be able to give love.
Yeah.
Right? And we all want to be vulnerable and seen for who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the crux.
It's essential, right? And like a lot of people ask me this to sort of, if I track back, and they go like, so what made you marry him, right?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. After 10 years.
Yeah. And I'm like, I kind of spent 10 years of my life with him, so he owes it to me. Like, I've dragged him. So no. And I answer this question drunk, sober, whatever. For me, the crux of a relationship, whether it's with your sisters, with your parents, or with your life partner, and more so with your life partner, right? Because it's the inevitable truth that that's how nature is. Like, you lose your parents, you lose whoever is older, unless and until you have a really unhealthy lifestyle, or a truck hits you and you die.
Also very possibly
super morbid.
Look both ways before crossing the road. PSA.
Yes, especially in Bombay.
Especially in Bombay.
Yeah. But your partner is someone who you think is going to be there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you look at it. Not his life.
You're going to grow together.
Your life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like when you're, say with my lifestyle, I'm 80 and I'm dying. Who do you want to see around you, right? There are a couple of people who you close your eyes and you think of.
Mm-hmm.
You wish your parents would be there, but you're going to them.
Yeah.
So that's going to happen either way.
Yeah.
Siblings, if that's what it is, and your kids and your life partner.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, oh, did you see him? And I'm like, of course. I'm like, he's an idiot, and so am I, but our idiocy just fits, right?
Idiosyncrasy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that I don't know. I think that it's different for different people, but it's not just compatibility, right? You're not always going to see eye to eye.
Yeah.
We argue over the stupidest things, like who moved the pen from like 190 degrees to like 180 degrees? You did. No, you did. The AC's on 22. Can you put on 21? No. I'm going to like burn. I'm like, what is wrong with, like, look at the arguments that you're having.
Yeah.
They're stupid and they can go on for days, right? You give each other the silent treatment. But at the end of the day, when you get home and you just want to like be the one person that you want to see, is who it is. Ugly, fat, bald, tall.
Yeah.
And people give us this, oh, he needs to be really good looking. I'm sure, but when he's 60 and his balls are sagging, that's not what you're going to be looking at, right? You're going to be looking at a lot of other things of the way your life has panned out with him, with each other. What you've learned from each other and how you've progressed as well. I think there's always room to do better.
Yeah.
For even the worst person, even Cruella would have done well at some point, I'm sure.
I mean, forget 60. Even when you're young and you have a really bad argument, things are hanging in the... your balance, you're just like, oh, do I want to be with this person? And, oh, they're very good looking. If that's what comes to mind, then come see a matchmaker. Yeah.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Yeah. But, I mean, it rarely does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It rarely does.
Yeah.
But I think that the generation to follow, since I'm in my early 30s.
Yes, you're very old and wise. Tell us.
Is I hope they don't fuck this up, right? Because I've seen, and Indians are so like all about culture.
Yeah.
Like I've heard you say Jai Shri Krishna sometimes, right? Is that what you say?
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Right.
my grandparents like to be greeted that way.
Exactly.
And I love my dadi and that.
Exactly, right?
yeah.
And there's certain things that you, as both of us, would carry forward and maybe teach our kids, or
Definitely.
but the generation after that is just in a shithole, right? It's so easy for them to drop a relationship, or like call people out on the smallest of things. It's harder to mend something, so they don't want to do the hardship.
I feel like the generation before us thought the same about us, you know? Because I hear that a lot from like the older generation where they're like, oh, you guys take it, you know, you guys think too much, or your commitment, you know, phobic. And it is a function, I think, of the perception of choice.
Yeah.
You know, we feel like because we're so connected online that we have a lot of choice.
Correct.
But I don't know if it's real or if it's an illusion. I don't know how I feel about that actually. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Even the way AI and technology will adapt to matchmaking.
Yeah.
Right? I think there's some really interesting things happening in this space. Eventually, you know, there will be apps that just induce and orchestrate meet cutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that might be the future of it, because we want to feel like it's happening organically.
Yeah.
But we're happy to get the help that we need. And also, a lot of people are just getting a lot more comfortable in dealing with AI and robots than another human being. Than bearing your soul to a matchmaker. It's like, hey, I'll tell my app.
Yeah.
I'll do my therapy on an app.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, I'm technologically challenged.
Are you?
Yeah, it's so bad. I mean, someone the other day we were talking about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And then she was like, you know, at some point it's going to be able to take your bar exam. I'm like, good for you. Just tell me how to open this Excel sheet, man. Okay. So yeah. I have no idea. I've just recently started making reels, maybe like a year ago.
Yeah.
Of course, for
You're very good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Self-taught.
You're very quick, and you have to be self-taught.
Yeah.
No one's sitting here and teaching you how to use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are YouTube pages now, like where it's like, oh, how do you reverse prompt engineer?
Yeah.
And that is gonna be something that we'll need to learn.
Yeah.
By ourselves.
I hope I'm not like blind and like by that time, but yeah.
If it's any consolation, my dadima, the one I say Hari Om to, she is very inspirational in this, where she has made sure that she knows how to work an iPad, how to work her phone, how to.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember my sister was struggling with something, and she was like, "You don't know how to edit this photo? Let me show you."
Let me crop everything and add elements, and here you fill. Here you go.
She's brilliant at it, and it's self-taught, and I think it's also like, you know, where your heart is.
She's put in an effort to want to do this, right?
Yeah, and
I hope people do that with relationships as well.
Yeah. People have to. There's not enough to outsource to a matchmaker. We can introduce you. We can make the introduction.
Yeah.
But then you need to take the relationship forward.
Yeah. I think what people need to start sort of also thinking is, don't be quick to judge.
Yeah.
And I tell people this. I'm like, what's wrong in getting out of your home to get a drink, get a coffee?
Yeah.
You're meeting a different person. If you don't connect romantically, you might learn something about the world.
Yeah.
Like, my politics is shit.
Yeah.
My husband keeps telling me, he's like, please don't ever get caught somewhere in Maharashtra and you don't know who the this is and who the that is. I'm like, it's changing, man. I'm not reading the newspaper. But imagine if I met somebody and I was single and he told me something insightful.
Yeah.
I'd be telling that story every time I'm single, right? I'm like, you know what I learned? So go out. Go out and meet people. I understand it's difficult and I understand it's a lot of your energy to put out there. But I feel like also learn to then curb that, reserve it, regroup with yourself, and then put yourself out there again, I think.
When you're talking to a client after a date, right? And they're telling you about their experience.
Yeah.
And that's I personally live for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
I
call
live
me.
for it.
Call
Yeah.
me.
It's like, oh, we don't have to get on a call. I can email you. I'm like, no, call. I think call would be better.
Yeah.
But what is one thing that you ask? Like, is there one question that you ask every person after a date to figure out if this is something worth pursuing, taking forward to a second date? Is there one question that comes to mind?
Definitely. So, okay, so when I'm getting like the lowdown on what's really happened, and I'm listening, right? Because I'm like, I want to know, you were really vague on email. Like, tell me what was the non-applicable, any, yes, no. Really? And send from an iPhone, and this person's taken maybe 30 seconds to fill out a feedback form, and I'm just like, okay, this call's gonna be long, but fair. I mean, like you said, I live for that shit. So I get on the call and I'm listening to them rant on about something, and then I'm like, okay, so tell me all the negatives, and then there's one positive, and I'm like, tell me what exactly you liked. Give me like one key pointer here that you liked about the person, that maybe if you met him outside of the situation where you feel like, and the money aspect with these clients always sort of comes into place.
Yeah.
If it wasn't paid for, right? If the service wasn't paid for and it was pro bono or whatever, you met him outside. What is the one thing that would maybe want you to see him or her again? Suppose you're at a party or a social event, you go out, grab a smoke, someone's standing there. You will strike a conversation.
Yeah.
At that point, you're not thinking about hey, his hair is disheveled, like whatever.
What does his family do?
Yeah. Mummy, Papa, kya karte?
Yeah.
Businessman? Does he have like a bungalow in Bandra Sea facing? Oh, Worli. Worli is a new thing to be, like, or new cuff parade.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're from Andheri, sorry. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
so many.
The number of, I live in Kandivali.
Yeah,
And the number of times people tell me, please don't look for a match beyond. So, like, my name is Andheri, and they'll say it with an accent. It's like Andheri to Colaba. And I'm like, aap kahan se ho? Like, tell me where you're from. And they'll just be like, Juhu, Versova. And I'm like,
we have such a problem with like area code shaming.
yes.
It's like our kink shaming.
And so then I shame them, and I'm like, you know where I'm from? I'm from Kandivali. But guess what? I live in a mammoth-sized house, and I'm very comfortable, like, running around naked in my house because I have all the space because I live in Kandivali. And then they'll make fun of you and be like, oh, you know what? I think I met somebody once. Sanjay Gandhi National Park, isn't that in Borivali? I'm like, thanks. So you were saying.
Oh my God. Yeah, we can be so, I love this about the human experience. We can be so pedantic and so romantic at the same time. It's like, oh, I'm looking for love, but in this area.
In this, yeah.
And to an extent, I also, like, I don't wanna play the blame game.
Yeah.
But like Tinder,
Oh God.
Hinge, the whole distance, the radius.
Yeah.
Do you think that plays a role in the whole area code outlook?
Yeah, I think it's ruined people. I think that's ruined. Yeah, it's ruined the generation.
All of them ruined.
Yes. Damn you.
Yeah.
But I do feel that, and they tend to compare quite a bit, and they go like, but Hinge pe na, I saw like 100 guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
and what did you do from that? Like, what was
The outcome.
yeah, that's nothing, right? You're so exhausted from meeting people organically
And swiping.
and swiping.
I mean, like,
Isn't your thumb like sitting in a cramp?
what I learned, which is really interesting, is that these apps like Bumble, Hinge, Tinder, their algorithm budgets for users to delete the app
Mm-hmm.
and then rejoin the app. And when you rejoin the app, like when you're feeling like, okay, I'm not so bored or fed up with that, and
Right.
you forget how bored and fed up you were a month ago.
Right.
You rejoin it, and your profile gets boosted.
Oh, okay.
So people who join the app today,
Yeah.
their profile is getting boosted. So the longer
Right.
you're on the app, the less of a priority you become to their algorithm.
Oh, so you just like drop down.
So you drop, yeah. So that's why you start to see when the first day you download Hinge,
and
you're like,
you're
oh,
getting like, oh,
everyone is hot and in my area, amazing, right? And then like on your 15th day, you're like,
koi nahi hai. That's God. Do I need to go get my rock?
Increase my radius kilometer, and so the apps definitely budget for your frustration to be deleted. And I find that so interesting because that's literally the opposite of matchmaking, where we're like, we're not going to send you 20,000 profiles.
Correct.
We're going to get to know you.
Correct.
We will filter.
Correct.
And then we will share one profile, 1 to 10 in your 1 year membership. Right? Where we feel like this is somebody that you would get along with. Or you could have an interesting conversation
with. For sure.
Or you would just have fun with.
Yeah.
That's my question, by the way. Like, did you have fun? Did you laugh?
Did I laugh?
Did you laugh on your date? Like, did you have a good time? Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good question to ask. I should definitely keep that in mind. Yeah. Did you have a good laugh?
Did you have a good laugh?
Yeah.
Because if your sense of humor is compatible, I think you're already taking care of outlook.
Yeah, that's true.
So
husband, mine's hard to match.
Is it?
Yeah. But he's a lot.
He's good looking.
Yeah. there you go. He's good looking at 32.
Yeah.
We'll recap when we're 60 with everything sagging, probably diminished.
We don't even, you just hit me up when he wants to decrease the AC temperature and tell me how good looking he is now. Just that becomes the mantra. He's very cute. He's very cute.
The sound.
And
okay, he's got the face.
He's got the face. I have a feeling he'll love and also hate this episode.
Yeah. I think I'm going home to a very grumpy man and he's going to be like, so what were you talking about? Not you.
Yeah. And man, I mean, when, just revisiting, talking about the apps, I don't even think it's just the dating apps. I think social media.
I was just going to say, are people sliding into DMs?
People are sliding into, people slide into your DMs?
Yeah, but it's sort of, I don't know how to do this, okay? What technologically challenged. So if there's a picture of me solo from a holiday, I get some random, it goes into requests right now on Instagram. So, sorry. It goes into my requests and I'm like, ye kaun hai? And I'll see it probably a month or two later. Yeah, but if not, I sort of put up stories with him. So they're like, she's not at it.
She's not at it.
But actually, that's also a thing, right? Some guys really get it. It's that thing. Yeah. Married, taken, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
See how long she's taken.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
That is quite dangerous.
It's dangerous waters for sure.
But I mean, that's another thing. Instagram makes you feel like you have access to everybody.
Yes.
And you have, unlimited amount of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's
and you actually think that
Bombay.
You know their you know their lives by the images that they're uploading on their profile.
Yeah.
You know nothing.
Yeah.
It's all a facade. Other than my Instagram, that's truly who I am.
That's dumb. You are. Yeah, you're the exception.
Yes, but I feel like this whole influencer sort of generation that we've been in, people are, I don't know, and also, I mean, and I don't want to really touch upon it too much, but the they, them, he, she sort of space, also the LGBTQAI, etc., that has sort of taken forward. I think that people are misusing this on social media for the actual people who are living these lives, right?
Yeah.
And sort of going through it, and they're like, "Oh, we're an influencer. I support lesbian marriage. I suppose. Are you though? Really?
Yeah.
And how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a space for advertisement.
Yeah.
And even advertisement, not just for brands, but for you personally, the individual. It is an ad space.
Yeah.
And how do you think that has influenced the way people date?
I think it's sort of degraded. Also people's minds more so, because now they compare everything. Literally people tell me that I would have, I hate your service, I hate you guys, blah, blah, blah. So much hate. I would have done better on a Hinge. So I tend to sort of, in my head, I'm like, bitch. But I'm just like, please try that out.
Yeah.
Let me see how emotionally exhausted you're going to be and give me a call a month from now.
Yeah.
Let's see where you're at with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have a term for it now. It's called dating fatigue.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. I don't think our parents had that. I don't think we had that in college or anything.
Not at all.
But it's a thing. Now you get fatigued by dating, which is supposed to be a fun process and
Exactly,
experience.
right? It's something to do to sort of enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're meeting new, like I said, you're meeting new people, but they're like, no, I'm exhausted. I'm done. Like, can you give us a break?
Yeah.
They don't really tell us that on our service. Like, give me a couple of weeks off. Don't reach out to me. I've quit a client quit his job, doing really well. He was a lawyer. He's like, I'm going to the Himalayas.
Beautiful.
Then I'm coming back, and then I'm going on a road trip to Australia.
Yeah.
And I'm going to like drive all around on bikes and stuff. I'll be back end of March. He said this to me in December. So then he's like, I'm done. I'm done working. I'm done looking at women. I just want to take a break and be one with myself.
Yeah.
Which is also so important.
Awesome.
But it's become more important in the recent times as opposed to what it used to be before.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel dating fatigue is a disease that is come and it's come from us.
It's come it's our fault.
It's a human made.
But without like technology bashing, because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I love it. And in fact I met my boyfriend on Hinge.
Yeah.
And so with everything, like even that that Netflix show, the social dilemma, I think it's called
Social Dilemma.
it painted the role technology plays and how our behavior evolves.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was a great study. It was super illuminating. But I think our reaction maybe also, is a bit extreme and like, okay, we're just gonna abort technology and it's all technology's fault.
Yeah.
It is. You are the user.
Yeah.
You have control. You have agency.
Yeah.
You are the person. Like it's important to be mindful about how you do anything.
Correct.
I think, and that's what 90% of podcasts today are about, right? Just like mindful living, breathing,
Holistic
dating.
Yeah. Holistic living.
Yeah. So
I've heard that so much.
holistic living. Yeah. We have a term because we weren't holistically living. We weren't doing it. And I find that interesting. Like it's almost like we've taken this and we're playing the blame game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's time to
give in.
to give in. I don't know to give in, but just to recognize the power that you have.
Yeah.
When you're interacting with anything, with a matchmaker or with an app.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes especially with an app because all apps are designed to keep you engaged.
Correct.
That's the whole point of them.
Correct.
But how do you put yourself out there even on an app? And there are matchmakers who now help you, like dating coaches who help you set up your profile on app.
Right. It's like making a resume, right? You hire someone to sort of do that for you as well. That's a job. And how do you sort of glorify a peanut to look like, oh my God, the decadence of it? That's exactly what it is. Okay, yeah. So, but not too bad. I don't want to shame tech at all here. It's definitely making my life a lot easier with GPS. I'm like that grandma who's like, mujhe yaad jana hai, right? But I feel balance is key with anything, whether it's tech, whether it's even using a human matchmaker. At the end of the day, I am a human matchmaker who might make mistakes because I'm human, right? So you got to give benefit of the doubt to both. Think that there's pros and cons to both. As long as if you have an idea of what you want, without these 3 million filters of he has to be fair skin, he has to be 5'10", he has to be he has to have rock solid abs and blah blah blah, and all of that shit, you will definitely get somewhere, in finding. What does Seema Andy say? 60-70% of what you want. I think that's such a trash thing to say. It sort of dawned upon us even more after she said it. People are like, is that true though? I'm like, it's hard for me to put a number to things. It's
How do you?
Yeah.
The whole point is that it's not numbers. It's not based on.
Yeah.
It's unquantifiable.
Exactly. I think when you start using numbers with dating, especially with the number of people you're meeting, or like rating a date on out of 5, yes, it's for me to understand how it went, but it's not a numbers game, like you said. It's very different. It's how much did you feel when you met this person? Do you feel like you want to give it another opportunity? You went for a coffee. Do you think you want to go for a drink? Do you want to feel a little more vulnerable, like start peeling out, the layers one by one? So I think the more people need to get a little more conscious of this as well. It's not a job. Yes, marriage is work. Trust me. I go from work to work. But it's about you wanting to do that. It's not a 50-50, it's a 100-100 from both sides. And it has to stay like that. And we need to sort of start to like trickle this down into generations to come, hopefully. If not, everyone's going to be like, I married myself. I'm really happy. I've been hearing that a lot as well. It's insane the things people do. I don't know if they need...
And then they divorce themselves.
Yeah, they divorce themselves as well. I was fed up. I would divorce myself in 24 hours. What were you doing? Did the finger sort of tire out? I want to know. I really want to know.
But you've been in this space for a while. And obviously you take back a lot to your marriage.
Yeah.
And you introspect a lot.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you would like for people to know about matchmaking, if there could only be one thing?
If there could be only one, patience, please have patience, and like I said at the beginning of this, is that it's a humongous world. I mean, our population is increasing by the millisecond. Firstly, I don't believe in the concept of soulmates. So, that's one thing. There is someone out there for you. There are probably 100 people out there for you. But are you going to also be that person for them? Right? You want something from them. So does that person have an expectation? Be patient. Learn to understand. Learn to ek chuk to so suk. Take turns with that, right? You don't have to be a doormat. I could be the doormat 10 times, but when I am raging fire, breathing, crazy dragon lady, my husband does that in return for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the perfect marriage. We're idiots, we fight. I mean, you sort of witnessed me yelling on top of my voice at him maybe multiple times at 8 a.m. like, shut the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
But that's it. You take turns. Every relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's, companion or parent, take turns. Learn to sit back with your emotion. Don't be reactive, is what people need to stop being reactive and stop. Like, analysis paralysis, man. Like, calm the fuck down. Get it some time.
I love that. It's like patience, and also recognize what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And then work on that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
And being here.
for having me. It's been a while since I've seen you, so this has been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really happy we did this.
Yeah,
and, it's been a great conversation.
Likewise.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and good morning.
And good morning.
And so I can get to my bed and get a quick nap in. All right.